We're going to find the producer surplus if the supply function for pork bellies is given by the following. S of Q is Q to the 7/2 plus 3Q to the 5/2 plus 53. Equilibrium is at quantity 9, so the first thing we do is do S of 9, okay, and we get 9 to the 7/2 plus 3 times 9 to the 5/2 plus 53. So our supply at equilibrium, the 2 on the bottom means take the square root, so that's 3 to the 7th plus 3 times 3 to the 5th plus 53. I'm just going to do this on the calculator. 3 to the 7th plus 3 times 3 to the 5th plus 53 is 2969. Now we need this supply number to do our producer's surplus. So we're going to take the integral now from 0 to the equilibrium price, okay, of this value, 2969, minus the entire supply function. So I'm going to put it in parentheses. Q to the 7/2 plus 3Q to the 5/2 plus 53. So, oh, and don't forget DQ. You need your differential there. We're going backwards here. So I'm going to do 2969 minus 53. So 2969 minus 53 gives me 2916 minus Q to the 7/2 minus 3Q to the 5/2, and all of that times DQ. All right, so don't forget that when you're doing the producer surplus, you take the surplus at equilibrium and you subtract the supply function. Okay, that's what we did. So now I need to do the integral of this and evaluate it at 9 and 0. So this is going to be 2916Q minus Q to the 7/2 plus 1 over 7/2 plus 1 minus 3Q to the 5/2 plus 1 over 5/2 plus 1. Now all of this is evaluated at 0 and 9. So I'm going to go 2916 times 9, and I need to clean this up a little bit. So 7/2 plus 1, see, that would be a 2 over 2 here. So that's going to be 9 over 2. So it's going to be minus 9 to the 9 over 2 divided by 9 over 2. And this is going to be minus, let's see, 5/2 plus 1. Again, that's 2 over 2, so that's 7 over 2. 3 times 9 to the 7 over 2 divided by 7 over 2. All right, so I'm going to clean these fractions up because they're just messy, right? So remember, when you divide by a fraction, you're going to invert and multiply. So I'll go ahead and do 2916 times 9. That's 26,244 minus, now this 9/2 becomes a 2/9. The square root of 9 is 3, so times 3 to the 9th, minus this 7/2 becomes 2/7 times 3, and then the square root of 9 here is 3 to the 7th. So yeah, it's messy, but we can do this mostly with calculator. Now, another thing to think about here is that I didn't do it at 0, right? Even though it said to take the integral from 0 to 9, what happens when I put a 0 here and a 0 here and a 0 here is that all of these become 0. So I don't have to do that. So 26 to 44, and I'm just going to use my calculator here. I'm going to go 3 to the 9th times 2 divided by 9. And that comes up to minus 4374. And here I'm going to go 3 to the 7th times 3 times 2 divided by 7. And you can do this in any order, but I just like to do, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, so I'll do the exponent first, and then the multiplication, and then the division. So I've got 3 to the 7th times 3 times 2. That's 13,122, but I'm going to divide that by 7. And let's see, that one didn't come out evenly. Let me try it again. 3 to the 7th times 3 times 2 divided by 7. And this is coming out 1874.57. And look, we're going to have to round to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to go 3 places here. 1874 decimal point 571. Now I'm going to subtract these and I'll have my answer. 26 to 44 minus 4374 minus 1874.571. That's 19,995.429. Now that 9 is going to make that go to a 3. So it's 19,995.43. And that is my producer's surplus.